Welcome to the Payment Shed podcast, the weekly podcast that dives into the big topics, trends, and people shaping the worlds of payments, fintech, and business leadership, with your two co-hosts, myself, Grant Evans, and Justin Hanna. Live from the Moneypot studio at Money 2020 Las Vegas, we are very fortunate today to be joined by Lauren Langbridge, who is commercial director for Wise Platform in the Americas. Lauren, welcome to the show. Please give us an introduction to your career in payments and fintech and what you're doing now.
Yeah, so Lauren Langbridge, commercial director for Wise Platform in the Americas. I have been with Wise Platform now for just over a year. And for those people that maybe aren't as familiar about Wise Platform, we are one of three go-to-market motions for Wise. So we have Wise.com, which is our consumer part of our brand. We have Wise Business, which targets SMBs. And then we have Wise Platform, which takes the infrastructure that we've been building over the last 15 years, and we make that readily available through our suite of APIs, or if not, Swift Connector, to enable banks, fintechs, and large enterprises to connect into our global payments network. Scary to say it now, I've been in payments for over a decade. I originally started my career in payments at a company called Currency Cloud, who you may or may not be familiar with. I was one of their founding employees, employee number 30, I think, when they just had an API license and just operated out of the UK. And I supported their international and vertical expansion all over the world to then being acquired by Visa about 8 years after I joined. And during that time, it's actually when, at the time, TransferWise first was incorporated. So I've followed their journey ever since day one. So to be part of Wise Platform now and seeing them grow and scale is exciting.
Yeah, I think everyone falls into payments in some way, shape or form as well.
Yeah.
It finds you rather than we kind of go and find
100%.
it, right?
Before that, I was doing financial software sales, in completely different vertical in Linux operating systems. So yeah, I kind of fell into this. I was like, what's this world of payments? And now I'm probably self-proclaimed payments geek. And I'm okay
big
with
fans
that.
of that.
Can you describe your overall vision for Wise Platform in the Americas, and I guess how that fits in with the company's overall money without borders sort of vision?
Yeah. So our ultimate goal as Wise is to bring fast, cost-effective, transparent, and convenient payments to customers all over the world. And as I said earlier, we are 15 years old as Wise.
I can't believe you've been around for 15 years.
I know, it's bonkers. But we're only really 5-6 years old as platform. So we describe ourselves as the startup within the scale up. And it's a really exciting opportunity because ultimately what we're doing is we're bringing all of that knowledge that we've built over the last 15 years, and we're now enabling banks and fintechs to take that tried and tested technology and embed that into their platform and make it native to their customers. So what's exciting about that is we know, even though we don't want to admit it, but we know not everybody's going to download the Wise Platform app. So by being able to partner with banks and fintechs, we're able to essentially take our mission to the masses by doing that through partnerships. So when we think about our ultimate vision specifically for Wise Platform, it's being able to reach more and more consumers than we do today. We have, consumers and businesses. We have 15.6 million customers all over the world. So it's just being able to grow that even more through being able to allow banks and fintechs to connect to our payment orchestration layer.
How does that long-term vision translate into the day-to-day role that Wise Americas has?
So when we think about how we're going to grow specifically in North America, right? America is hands down one of the largest markets that there is. And the opportunity here is huge. So we are looking for partners who, there's different ways to look at it. So we partner with banks, we partner with fintechs, but ultimately you can either be a payments company or offering a payment service, or you are a company that has a platform like a marketplace, and the payments is actually a byproduct. You have to have payments there to offer the overall service, but it's not a core feature of what you do today. So when we think about the North American market specifically, we're already partnered with the likes of Morgan Stanley, Ramp, Brex, etc. And it's being able to connect into more of those leading like banks and fintechs in North America, and enabling them to build what we've built as Wise Platform into their technology.
It's a massively competitive market though, right? Particularly for fintech in the Americas. So how do you guys differentiate yourselves and really look to stand out in what is such a competitive market?
Yeah. I believe that we're very uniquely positioned in the sense of we have tried and tested technology at scale, right? Like I said, we're 15 years old. We have 15.6 million customers all around the world. We have offices in 11 different jurisdictions. We have 6,500 employees. But what I think that we do really, really well is that we've gone direct to scheme in 7 different countries, including Pix in Brazil. We have hired regional teams to become experts in those regions to essentially do the heavy lifting for the customer. And I think that that's where we're unique and where we stand out, is because we can say to our platform partners, hey, look, here's one API. Or if you don't want to have to completely overhaul your technology and integrate with an API, we also have Swift Connector. So we want to kind of remove that boundary or remove that friction and say to our partners, however you want to connect to us is entirely up to you. You can either send us a Swift message and our translation layer will still allow you to access the local banking network that we've built. But we've gone and built the infrastructure in that region. It's proprietary technology. It's ours. We have these large teams that specialize in knowing everything that there is to know about those markets. So let's take an example. You have in Japan, if you're trying to onboard a customer in Japan, you have to scan the front, the back, and the side of an ID document. It's quite wild when you think about it, really, like the side. What are they trying to say? If you are trying to launch in the Americas, for example, you have ACH, you have Fedwire, you have RTP.
Yeah.
How do these banks and fintechs know, how do I expand into the Japanese market? How do I go to market in the Americas? And with Wise, we've already done it, right? Like we're taking the thinking out of it for them. And that's why I think that we're so unique, is because we're doing it at scale and our platform partners don't have to think about it.
I think the LATAM point's a really valid one. Like that is such an exciting market to be in at the moment. There's huge funding rounds happening. I think the leaps forward in technology that's going on, but I couldn't agree more that having in region individuals, on the ground that speak the language, that know the local market, I don't think enough businesses are doing that or haven't done it previously.
I think the startup piece and the scale-up world is really, really interesting because you mentioned you're able to rely on the technology and the experience of the wider Wise business to be able to enable you to do your job, right?
Yeah.
What lessons have you learned, or the business learned from other regions by being able to then grow in the Americas as well?
Oh, that's a good question. What did we learn about in the Americas specifically?
Any regulatory challenges that you had in the UK or other places that you've learned lessons from?
Wow. Yeah, well, I think each different region have their different cultural nuances, right? Like, let's take Pix in Brazil as the perfect example here. Over 50% of money is moved in Brazil over the Pix network. I think it's something like 93% of adults.
It's like in 4 years as well, right?
Like,
it's only been around 4 years, something like that.
The adoption rate is wild. Like, it's used more than cards. It's used more than Apple Pay. And you have to think about that when you go into new markets. Like, you can't just go in there and launch with any technology. You have to meet the customers where they are. Whatever you're launching has to solve an underlying customer pain point. So I'm struggling to think right now what would be like one specific learning about other regions that we probably adopted in the US specifically. But I think the overarching theme would be it has to be specific to the region that you're trying to break into. Otherwise, it will fail.
I was speaking to someone yesterday as well, and they were basically saying the US for them was the best place to start because of regulation and all the different nuances across state that you have. And actually they're going the other way. We're seeing a lot of UK businesses coming into America and learning things out the hard way, but doing it from America first and then going into Europe. I think you seem to be in a better position, or that's certainly the noise that we've been getting.
We've got nearly all of our state licenses in the US. And I think what people underestimate going into the US markets is the fact that you have to go state by state to get all of your own licenses there. And you can enter the market by potentially partnering with a sponsor bank, yes, but that still limits you to what you can do. By actually having your own licenses, that's great. It gives you more autonomy over what you do next. But then there's also challenges around, like, we have you have regulators that operate on behalf of all of the different states and do that, whereas you don't particularly have that in other markets. You have one regulator for that country, whereas we've got like 50. So that's always going to be a challenging one that you've got to navigate. Yeah, they're fun challenges, character building, I like to call it.
And you guys obviously done great things in the partnership ecosystem, as you mentioned. Obviously, Nubank in there as well, huge growing brand that everyone's talking about. How do you scale those partnerships as Wise Platform?
So I look at this in two different ways. So as my role as commercial director, I look after both new business sales and also the account management, which has kind of dotted lines over customer success as well. So we service let's call them two key verticals, like our banking vertical, which are the regulated banks, and then we have our fintech verticals, which are various different fintech platforms that span across like bill pay, payroll, spend management, and even marketplaces. So when we think about how we want to scale in the region or how we scale partnerships, first of all, it would be like, who are the customers that we want to partner with, first and foremost? What are they looking to do? Are they looking to potentially modernize an existing platform that they have? Are they looking to go to market with something completely new that they've not done before? Or are they just looking to optimize a certain corridor? So like, it works, but actually this one we could do better. And we want to try and identify those partners that we want to work with, first and foremost. So bring them onto Wise Platform and help them solve that specific pain point or business goal. And then once they're in our network, we have an account management team. So since joining over a year ago, we're now 3 times the size, if not more, than when we joined. Like, we're scaling really, really quickly. So it's how can we then help those partners do more with the infrastructure that we have now, but then also through like MBRs or QBRs and bringing in our product managers, how can we then understand, okay, what's next? Do we have infrastructure and product features today that you can leverage and you can build and you can implement? Or what's the next thing that you're trying to do? And how can we help you do that? Because again, our ultimate goal is to solve customer pain points, meet the customers where they are. So if that aligns with our vision and our mission, we'll look to try and build that in partnership with our customers.
And what do you think your partners value most in return from that relationship?
I would like to think that they would consider us as like the thought leaders and the trusted advisors. There's no blueprint, right, in how you do this. And I think that again, going back to the earlier discussion that we were having around like what makes us unique, is the fact that we're on the ground. Like, they don't have to invest in these massive like compliance teams or operations teams. Like, we're doing that for them. And we're bringing that knowledge and expertise to them to say, hey, if you want to go and expand into this new market, these are all the things that you need to know to enable you to do that. But then taking that one step further, we make our technology intuitive. So we see that the highest amount of customer contact rates comes from customers going like, where is my money? When will my money arrive? How much money will credit? And we have like one of our pieces of technology is called our delivery estimator. And we can say to our partners, implement this API, and you will immediately be able to tell your customers, again, how much it will cost, when it will arrive, and how much will arrive, which means that your customer contact rate will go down, which means that you're giving your customer a better user experience. And it's all of that stuff that builds customer loyalty and builds customer trust. And we're advising them on how to do it because we're seeing it firsthand through wise.com. We have customers right there. We're saying, this is what they want. This is what you need to build. And we're giving them that insight. Like, we can give them that data to say, this is how your customers are behaving. And these are our recommendations on how you can help reduce operational overhead costs, increase your profit margins, grow your revenue. And I don't think there are many providers out there that can do that.
I suppose that's building your own blueprint, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I think speed, just across payments and fintech in general, like the expectation around everything happening fast is rife, right? So from the B2B world, from a partnership point of view, your partners will expect the services they're taking from you guys to be really, really quick. And then end consumers want an application to be seamless, fast. They want payouts to be immediate, right? So there's stable coins are obviously everywhere this week as well. And they're talking about, speeding up the movement of money. How do you get over the compliance and regulatory side of things, obviously being in the sector that you're in, or the sector specific vertical that you guys are in, whilst having that speed pressure on everything that you get with money movement, right? But you talked about the state element of there's 50 different states, there's 50 different regulators, and then you go into LATAM and you've got country by country. Like, how do you navigate that?
Yeah, it's a really interesting conversation and topic that quite a lot of people are talking about, right? Like, I think if you think about your own money and when you send a payment, yes, you want it to be fast, but you also want to know that your money is safe and secure. And actually, if someone said, don't worry, it's going to be as fast as possible, but like there are maybe these other things that, don't worry about that. I'd be like, well, actually, I'm happy for it to take a little bit longer, knowing that like my money is safe and secure and I'm working with a very compliant and trusted partner. I think it also goes back to that, the topic on price too. Everyone's like, well, is it going to be a race to the bottom on price? And it's like, well, no, and it shouldn't be, because it's the customer experience that will come first. Where we're unique as platform, because again, we have the .com side, we know that customers would much rather have the convenience of managing their money in one single place than having to go outside of, say, their banking app or their existing fintech application and open another account elsewhere. So actually, they're probably happier to spend a little bit more money for the convenience of that. That alone builds the customer trust and the customer loyalty. But leveraging partnerships, like we've talked about earlier, like why partner with a Wise platform? Well, we do all these things that help take that heavy lifting out of it for you. But it's also where like technology such as AI comes into it. You can balance how fast you can both onboard a customer. If you make it too difficult for a customer to onboard on your platform, they'll just abandon cart and probably go somewhere else. But also being able to leverage AI technology to move the actual transfer once the customer's been onboarded, I think's interesting too. I don't think you'll ever get fully away from something being fully automated, and we probably shouldn't be trying to do that. I think there's always going to be an element of human intervention, as it were. But I think this is where technology and partnerships really come into it.
I think the pricing one's a really interesting one because, putting my acquiring hat on as well, obviously we've worked for acquirers and PSPs for many years. I think we saw this race to the bottom with pricing in POS. And then you had new EPOS providers came in and put better tipping solutions in place. Yeah. They got better customer experiences. And suddenly those bars and restaurants that had been so focused on the price point started paying a little bit more on their transaction fees because they were like, actually, there's better UX and UI with this. And then, you could call out the likes of Stripe coming in. And again, they did the same thing, right? They quick onboarding, at the time quicker than anyone else had. They had really slick checkout flows and UI and UX. But you then had an e-com merchant that was paying 50 basis points would suddenly pay 150 basis points. So massive jump in pricing because the product as they saw it was better than what they had previously.
Yeah.
That then comes back though, right, to, you mentioned it before around you're doing all the legwork for them and all the other things they don't need to think about, right? So if you've got an SMB merchant that's trying to have 5 or 6 different providers, and then they're paying what they think is a cheap price with 6 different providers, but actually there's an operational cost here and there's a financial cost here with the finance team. Actually, you would rather pay 1 or 2 basis points more because the FTE you're actually having on dealing with the cheaper products and services you're taking is farly outweighing what it could be.
Yeah, but everything that we've just said there, it all comes back to the customer experience. And different types of customers will prioritize different types of customers will prioritize different features and other value-added services. So we know that an SMB, for example, will prioritize predictability and reporting. And they are happier to pay a slight, I don't want to say the word premium because that sounds like you're marking it up, but they're happy to pay for a superior product to get those features in. People that will race to the bottom on price will probably find that they'll have really high acquiring costs of actually like what it takes to win that customer. They might do that first transaction with them and then likely fall back onto another provider that gives them all of the other features that they actually want and need. So
makes a lot of sense. So if we look to the future then, what are the sort of big things ahead for Wise Platform? Is there new technology that you're looking at? Have you got new product launches that you may be allowed to talk about? Or obviously you can't there'll be stuff you won't be able to mention, but we just want to know where the America side of the business goes next.
Yeah, we've got some really exciting partnerships that we're going to be announcing in the very near future. We're always exploring new technologies, right? Like there are new technologies and buzzwords that have been thrown around this conference so far today that everyone probably is familiar with. But the biggest thing that Wise does is we're always looking at what's the biggest pain points impacting our customers today, and what are the different types of technologies that we can invest in that will help solve those. So we're always looking at lots of different things, and there'll be lots of exciting announcements that we'll be able to share later this year, but nothing that I can announce as an exclusive today, I'm afraid.
But beyond revenue, of course, this is why everyone's in business. What do you think success beyond, obviously with your commercial director hat off, do you think would enable success for Wise?
Wise or Wise Platform?
Wise Platforms.
Wise Platform. Like I said, we're the startup within a scale up. And for me at the minute, like coming in that first year was about laying the foundations, building the team there to make sure that we can give customers and partners the best experience when they first start working with Wise Platform. But then also how can we grow and scale them? So when I just look into just the very near term future, one of the things that I would think success looks like is our existing partners are doing more with us. They're leveraging more technology. They're putting through more volume, but that we're also building new partnerships and bringing new partners onto the platform. That's what I'm really excited about. And we've got some pretty cool partners in the pipeline that we'll be able to talk about very, very soon.
It's really interesting for me because, Justin was head of direct sales when we worked together, and I was head of partnerships, and it's kind of, they were two very separate worlds. But I think recently we've very much seen that merging of partnerships sitting under one commercial leader like yourself. So how do you offset that sort of direct sales team and managing the partnership team, or are you purely B2B? Do you still have direct sellers that go to platforms? Let's redefine that. So account management in your world is more looking after the partner, right? But you've got your new business team, presumably they go and sign and win the partner, right? Very different departments to deal with. How do you kind of juggle those two hats?
And that was one of the first things I implemented when I first joined Wise Platform, is we actually had one sales team that looked after both. And I think that they're two very different skill sets around. I hate using the term hunter and farmer because I feel like it's such an archaic term, but they are two different skills. Like how can we actually double down and grow this partnership? How can we build that relationship and do relationship management to help grow and scale our existing partners? And then how do you find people that have really good business development, go-to-market skills where they know how to like drive a campaign? So we have two completely separate teams. So I have a head of sales for banks. I have a head of sales for online platform, which is our fintech vertical. And then I have a head of account management, and they're different departments. They have, again, selling to a bank and working with a bank and how to partner with them will be very different to how you partner with a fintech. The way in which they're organized internally is different. The way in which they buy is different. And having people that know how to address those and work with those, I think is really important.
I think some of the best people that have worked in my partnerships teams over the years have started in direct sales as well. Because they, you talk about that hunter and farmer thing.
Yeah.
I don't really know if we've coined a new phrase for it, but having that kind of
what Grant is saying is that we've had many arguments over the years around whether a customer is a direct customer or a partnership customer.
See, it's interesting when you say that, because immediately I was thinking, do you mean like Wise Business versus Wise Platform? Because we've got our three different go-to-market. So our consumer product is completely word of mouth and through adoption pretty much. Then you have Wise Business, which again is kind of word of mouth referrals, but we also have a direct sales team that goes directly to the B2B. And then you've got Wise Platform, which is B2B to X. So you could almost say that that's always a partnership play, right? Because we're embedding our infrastructure in the bank, in the fintech, and they're ultimately then providing those services to their customer. So we actually want to be hidden we're like the plumbing in the background.
Yeah.
We want to be able to facilitate that for them, but have it as native within their ecosystem.
The world is very partnerships heavy now.
It is very partnerships heavy.
Before we finish up today, we have a final section in the show, which all of our guests get involved with. It's called the Shelf of Shame. You get to nominate something it could be from payments, fintech, business in general.
Yeah.
You nominate it. If we agree that it should go on the Shelf of Shame to be banished forever, then it'll go up there.
Do you judge if it gets to make it?
We absolutely judge. If it's not good enough,
you do it right now live?
Yeah. Correct.
Oh, great. How exciting. So what do I want to go on the Shelf of Shame? I think that banks and fintechs compete with each other. It's not a competition. It's a partnerships play. we should be putting our customers at the forefront of everything that we do. And however we address those pain points, that's how we should do it. So like, they don't compete, they can partner, we can coexist together, and it's not a them versus us mentality.
Is that like legacy banks and neobanks as well?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like that. It's quite interesting because you've got fintechs that are 10 years old, right? What's the difference between a fintech and a bank if they've both got banking licenses and they're now 10 years plus, right? Or they're just a tech company.
No one's actually put fintech just being a word up there yet. Like that could be a thing. I think like using the word fintech is maybe something that I'll nominate something for the show myself right now.
I was gonna say, what would you
It's
call
not
it
about
instead?
you, Grant.
Put your marketing hat on.
It's financial technology, right? In essence, but yeah, I don't know. We'll have a think about it.
Yeah, I look forward to seeing what you come back with.
Well, thanks for joining us today. That was great.
Thanks for having me.
Lauren.
It's been great.